everyone. Good afternoon. Did you all have a great lunch? Yeah, I know I did. And I didn't even realize that there were different options. I was like, I just went for the first booth I saw, and it was delicious. And I saw some other guys, like, I didn't get any of that. Where did that come from? Anyways, my name is Keshia Rose, and I'm a product manager at Tableau, and I work on our developer platform team. So the folks that build our APIs and tools for developers out in the world, third parties, to create really interesting integrations with Tableau and extend it to be even more useful into what you're already using it for. So today, I want to talk to you, and that timer hasn't started yet. I wanted to talk to you guys about how you can extend your BI tools, no matter what they are. I, of course, am biased. I work at Tableau, so I'm going to be showing you some examples through Tableau, but I'll also be showing you some examples from other services as well. All right. Let's go ahead here and get started. Nice. So before I get into the things I want to talk to you guys about, how many people here have a cell phone? Okay, I was going to say, I figured all of you probably. So if you think about a cell phone, right, you do a lot of things to your cell phone. You might buy it from the store, but once you've unlocked it, you've got it set up to go. You add your apps to it, you customize it, maybe the look and feel, right? You want to get more from the phone. Some people even add on some really interesting add-ons to maybe their phone case. I was just doing a quick Google search. There are some really interesting phone cases out there. There's one that even can print your photos directly from the phone case. I might have to look into that one for myself later. But the idea is that you're not just getting the phone out of the box as is, right? You want to do more with that phone than what you've just purchased. So today I want to talk about 5 different areas where you can extend the power of the BI tools that you're using and get more out of them. First up is connecting to data. So, of course, the first step in anything that you do with BI or any kind of data analysis is to actually connect to the data from the source. And, of course, you might have that data in something simple, like a SQL server or an Oracle database, but usually it's in something a bit more interesting, whether it's a homegrown database system, perhaps it's the latest new thing in NoSQL, or maybe it's just a web service that has its own API to connect the data. Now, these things are always changing, and I know at least for Tableau, we can do a couple connectors. We'll probably put a few out there, but there's always going to be something new, and you're not going to be able to cover everything, and that counts for pretty much all tools out there in general. So how do you connect to this data? Well, a couple ways. First off is being able to use the APIs that are available through that service. But also, there are services that allow you to connect to data through things like Zapier or IFT, where it'll pull data from one service into an easier-to-read database. Some examples of this, like I mentioned, Zapier, they have different workflows. So you can say data from this really interesting, cool web service we use for our company can now flow into, let's say, a SQL server, for example. Google Data Studio, they have a bunch of connectors. It's a huge part of their company. It's the community connectors, where you can use their APIs to actually build custom ways to connect data. And it can be almost any data source. Now, I mentioned I am biased, so I am going to dive a little bit deeper into the Tableau examples, but they do translate across all of them. Now, specifically at Tableau, we've got a couple different ways to connect to data. The first one is a web data connector. It allows you to connect to any data source on the web that has an API. You can create a simple tool to pull it in, and then from there, you're good to go. Any end user can just grab a link, and they're off to the running. We also have a connector SDK. I mentioned that Tableau has a bunch of built-in connectors. What if you want to add your own connector? Right? Maybe you're awesome DB, some brand new exciting database that you want to connect to your customers who are using Tableau. Well, you can now create your own connection that would fall in right here in the actual connection pane. And lastly, we have our Hyper API, which allows you to pull in data from any data source and just store that as a local file. So again, these are Tableau examples, but a quick search around the internet, depending on what flavor of BI tool that you're using, the same things apply. So, a quick sample. Let's get out of there. And let me, there we go. So, just showing you here our example for the Web Data Connector. I can connect to this Alpha Vantage daily stock connector. And now, this is actually some simple code that I've written, but an end user, all they need to do once they have this thing that's been built by a developer, all they need to do is connect to this particular URL. That's the great thing about all the things I'm going to be talking to you today. You may not be developers yourself. Maybe you're the analyst. Maybe you're in IT. Maybe you're just looking at really interesting data visualizations and making decisions yourself. But having the tools for your developers to actually build these things for you can actually help you do your analysis, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just type in a very unknown stock ticker. No one knows what that one is. I highly doubt. Andy knows. I can see him laughing over there. It's Salesforce who just bought us. But easily from that, I can connect to data, just so you guys can see there. Pulling in just open and close, high, low data. I'm not going to bother showing you the Tableau part. I'm sure you either know or don't care. But my point is, behind that Web Data Connector is this script that has now decided to load while I was showing it to you. There we go. Once you get past the CSS, it's very simple. It's only a few lines of code. There's no more than 130 lines, and that includes, all the HTML and all the CSS, etc. It's very simple to do. It's not a very complicated process. Now, of course, in this example, it's a simple thing as pulling in stock data. There's no authentication happening. There's no filtering or sorting, etc. But the idea here is that it's something that you can do to extend the power of what you're already using. If your software, whatever it is, doesn't connect to the data you need, you're never going to be able to get started. Finding a way to actually pull that data in a way that's streamlined, automated, and refreshable is super important. I work with some nonprofits as part of a Tableau service corps where you're allowed to volunteer your time, and we work with folks doing all kinds of amazing work. And the number one thing I see with all these different companies, whether they're helping kids in the foster system, whether they're looking at water quantities of content of contaminants, they don't have an easy way of getting the data. They're going to the source, they're pulling down an Excel file or a CSV file, then they've got them named in a folder somewhere, version 1, 2, or the dates, etc. And it's just not going to be an easy way for you to get started actually doing the analysis. If you have to put this much effort, all of that manual processing into getting to the data, not only is it not fun, but you have less time to do the more important work. All right, let's see if I can get back to here. Nice. Ah, that was a demo. Next up, automating processes. So in this part, I'm talking more so about doing things that are manual processes over and over again. We talked about connecting to data and making that a more automatic process, but the same thing can go with other aspects of your BI tools as well. Many services have sharing platforms that have different users and groups and projects and ways to share that data. It'd be great if you can programmatically do the things that you're already doing manually. So I'm talking to maybe the IT folks in the crowd specifically for this section. We want to talk about ways that you can actually manage the resources that you're using in a way that's programmatical. Is that even a word? I'm not sure. I made it up just then. But what we can do here is actually create programs that can do automated and repeatable tasks. So for example, Tableau, we have Tableau Server. And in that case, perhaps you want to do something with new users. New users, they're brand new to whatever BI tool you're using, and you want to get them started so that they have interesting things to look at right away. One of the things that we see for adoption is that if folks don't know where to go, they don't know what to look at, they're never going to be interested in trying to see things in new ways. They're not going to want to try and actually get their hands on the data and actually manipulate it, play with it, and explore. So one thing you could do is set them up with a really interesting way to onboard them into the process. For example, what if you had a process that when someone was hired to your company, part of the onboarding system, maybe they get a backpack, they get a badge, you set them up with the Active Directory system, they get a new Tableau server license, but then you also set them up automatically with favorites that are tuned to their particular organization. Maybe the dev team has some work dashboards that they look at all the time. You favorited that for them. So when they go to this new system, maybe they've never seen anything about data or BI before. They have those automatically there for them to look at, and it's a really easy way to get them started. All that can be done programmatically. You don't have to manually set this up for every single particular user. So, a couple examples of this, and again, like I said, I want to show for all sides. Like I said, I am Tableau, but this honestly applies everywhere. So even though I might be pimping out these other tools, they all happen. They all happen across all tools. So, for example, Power BI has their automation APIs. They allow you to actually automate these things directly. Same thing with Click, they have macros. It's the same idea. So whatever tool you're using, whether it's Tableau, hopefully, or whether it's something else, look for the ways that they actually have APIs to allow you to do these things. They're there. Many times folks don't even realize that they're actually available for them to use, and they're doing a lot of manual processes over and over. They're like, oh my gosh, this is so difficult. Did you know we have this API to help you? Use it, it's there for you. So, quick example of the Tableau way of doing it would be with our REST APIs. That just allows you to actually programmatically access resources on Tableau server. But I think a lot more exciting are webhooks. And this is, again, across all BI tools. Webhooks, just if you're not sure, they allow you to react to things that are happening on Tableau server or on other BI tools as well. So, quick example here. Here I'm looking at Tableau server, and we have a data source. This data source is an extract, which means it's not a live connection, it's a snapshot of the data, and then you can refresh it from there. What I can do is actually react to things that are happening here. So what I can say is, particularly this particular extension, extract, whenever it refreshes, notify a REST endpoint, right? If your data is after a ETL process, after the ETL process happens, notify me. I want to do something about it. So in this case, it's pretty simple. I'm going to go ahead and just refresh this. And that will trigger that webhook to happen. So from here, I actually have this set up using a glitch service. If you're not familiar with glitch, it's a free hosting site and an IDE all combined into one. And I'm not going to go through the code because I promised I would keep it pretty high level, but all we're doing here is requesting the code from Tableau server and passing it on to the IFT email service. So let's see here if we get anything. Crossing our fingers, it's a live demo. Ah, yes, wonderful. So we can see here, my email takes a while to send, but I'll try and show you at the end that it did get sent. But we see here today at 2:44 p.m., we did receive that refresh. So it'll send an email to my inbox letting me know, hey, there's new data to look at. Or perhaps, hey, someone just uploaded a new dashboard. Maybe you're interested in looking at it, et cetera, et cetera. All kinds of different options there. All right. Next section. Can I? Nice, okay. All right, my third point here is to surface insights. So we've talked about connecting to data, the most important piece. We've talked about automating some processes, allowing you to do some really interesting flows. The next thing I want to talk about is surfacing insights. Many times we're looking at different data visualizations, and you have to go to the place that you're actually wanting to find that data. If you're using Power BI, you go to the actual server and you're looking at that dashboard. But what if you're using other tools? You want to be able to access that information at any point. If you're looking in Salesforce, if you're looking in your company's SharePoint website or your internal portal, you don't want to have to go outside to find the Tableau dashboard or whatever dashboard you're looking at. So the next piece here is to actually embed those pieces where you're looking. If you're looking at an inventory management system and you want to look at the insights that you're being concluded from that, why not just bring that data right to where you already are, right? There's no point in having two separate systems if you're already looking in that one particular service. Now, not only can you also just bring data to where you are, but it also means you can customize that look and feel. You guys know your teams, your customers, your employees, your colleagues best. You know how your business is run. If the service that you're using for your analytics doesn't fit how you want to run your business, there are tools available for multiple different tools that you can use to actually embed into the service you're looking at. So, for example, maybe you want to white label something that you're using externally for your clients to look at. You don't want to have to look at the Tableau version or the Click version. You want it to look like Company A analytics. You can use embedding tools and APIs to actually change that look and feel and white label it for your use cases. Oh boy. Can we go? There we go. My goodness. So, two great examples of this, SciSense and ThoughtSpot. Great, easy ways to actually bring that data into anywhere you're looking at. In these two examples, they're looking at an embedded scenario for external use cases. This one on the right here, if you guys can if you can see that, is actually just showing like a pizza company. You don't want it to look like you're using tool A, B, or C. You want it to look like it's actually your analytics. It has the same colors, same look and feel. You also have the idea of pulling in these stats to where you're already looking. If you guys have a customer portal, a SharePoint site, why not bring those tools directly where you already are? If you have a sales force, well, then you can use Salesforce, and you can put that right there where they're already looking at their client information. In Tableau, we use the JavaScript embedding API to do that embedding for you, but it's also as simple as copying and pasting a embed code. And then we also, again, same thing I mentioned before, using our REST API to automate those processes. You want to talk about that new user onboarding, perhaps you have a new user, automatically brings that in, and you're good to go. Lastly, we have the mobile app Bootstrap with a picture that didn't show up. But in this case, it's a series of samples where you can bring Tableau into your mobile app. It doesn't have to be just for your desktop browser applications. It can be for mobile as well. And again, this goes across multiple BI tools. Now for the demo. Here we have an example of a fake agency that is looking at reporting on the data that they have. It's in marketing. And what we have here is not Tableau at all. And again, this could be any BI tool. This is fully customized by this fake agency. You can see we've got some really interesting ways of actually looking at the available dashboards. This is fully customized. Your developers can do this. If you yourself are a developer, you can do this. But using those tools to bring them all in. And then let's take a look at this one over here. Of course, it's the slowest thing ever. But here we go. Really simple example, but hopefully you get the idea of bringing that right to where you are. If you have a system that you're using for your business, why not have it right directly where you're already looking? Now, in this example, we're using our JavaScript API, which is, again, super, super simple. Easy copy and paste embed code and customization from there. And it can interact with the dashboard as well. So for example, let's say I select a few things here, and maybe from there I'm filtering the rest of my dashboard. I can actually say, I want to then clear the selections. These buttons are outside of Tableau. You can continue to use the connection between the website and the dashboard together. All right, Now, these last two, honestly, are my personal favorites. I saved the best for last. These are my the ones that I like quite a bit, mostly because they're newer for Tableau, but I also think that they're just the pieces of this whole idea that go the farthest. First one is taking action. Many times we're looking at data, right? We know all these BI tools. All of you are familiar with working with data, talking about finding insights, discovering what's going on in the data. But what happens when you actually find the insight, right? And once you've figured out something's going well, something's going wrong, something is above, below threshold, you want to take action on that, right? Data isn't just about looking at what's going on, it's about making decisions. So wouldn't it be great if you could actually do those actions within the tool you're already using? Now, in this case, that can take the form of clicking on buttons and just doing simple things, or it could be the case of actually manipulating and changing data. Come on. This presentation does not like me today. There we go. All right, so my two examples for this one, again, looking at all BI tools across the platform here. We've got Looker and Amazon QuickSight. Amazon QuickSight has some really interesting URL actions that you can take directly from the dashboard. You can then customize those and send you off to a specific service. And also Looker, I think, is super interesting, actually, I will say. They've got some really cool actions, they call them actions, where you can actually do some, kind of goes both ways. Some things you can do from within the dashboard or other tools can affect different services, and also vice versa. So the idea, they have an example here of like looking at something and then sending someone a message in Slack, for example. I've seen this really interesting insight. I want to share it with my colleagues. Here's a quick button from the dashboard I'm already looking at, sends them to Slack, including the image of the dashboard that I'm looking at. Super cool. And for this one, we have the Extensions API. Now, this honestly is my favorite. It's for this one and the next section. But this basically allows you to create a little custom web application that you can then embed directly within a Tableau dashboard. So, you go ahead here. So in this example, we're looking at some inventory. So you might recognize these items. I'm not going to say where they're from, but the idea here is that we have a business rule that says we must have at least 10 items of inventory either in stock or on back order. And again, most visual analysis tools make it really easy to see that, hey, this particular chicken and fig spread is below our minimum stock threshold. Now, the idea is, well, if I want to go and order some more of this spread, I normally would have to put down Tableau. I'd have to go find and open the inventory management system service. I have to find that particular SKU for that particular spread. And in this case, it's a pretty simple example, but I'm sure in a real retail environment, that could be hundreds, if not thousands, of different SKUs. Once you've then found that particular SKU, you can then make the order. Once you're done, you come back to your BI tool that you're using, you hopefully refresh the data, and then see that reflected. That sounds like a lot of work to me. Anyone else? Does that sound like a lot of work? No? You guys think that? Okay, there we go. I was like, if that sounds easy to you, then that's great. More power to you. But that sounds like a lot of extra effort for me to do something that should be pretty simple. And you're already looking at that data. Why not take action from it at the get-go? So in this case, I'm going to bring in a extension, and like I said, extensions are just applications that you can bring into Tableau. Very similar to the Looker example. I'm going to use a demo here for our inventory management. And this is just running locally on my machine. And it can, as you can see, it says select a product to update. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this product here. And it's taking that data from my selection. right? So I didn't have to like type in and search for chicken and fig spread and figure out which one I was looking for. I see something, I click on it, and I can take action immediately. From here, I can order some more of this delicious spread. I'm sure it's good. Let's say we add in 10 more. And this is a fictitious example. It's just going to an Excel spreadsheet. But hopefully you can imagine that this could actually order 10 more of that item. I haven't left Tableau, and I haven't left whatever tool you're using. It's right there in the moment. You're in the flow. You can move on to the next thing you're doing instead of wasting time trying to find things that you are already looking at. I'll go ahead and submit this order, and you'll notice, wait for it, data updates. I now can see that that has been backordered. Someone else comes in, they look at this dashboard, they know that it's been backordered. You're not doubling your orders, wasting money, etc. Now, the idea behind this is very simple. It's just a JavaScript application. Our API just works with the mark selection to listen and see what you've selected. But again, these are things that you can do with a variety of BI tools that just help you integrate what you're working on with what you're looking at. Now lastly, we're going to talk about customizing the interface, but also just the general look and feel of what's going on in your analytics tools. So here, in this case, I'm looking at two factors. The first of which is actually customizing the way you're looking at different tools. So you can say, I'm looking at different filtering options. I want to change the way that they work. Maybe I want to customize them for the way that I actually use the product. Or in another example, perhaps you want to try new chart types. Many different times, different analytical tools come with different things bundled in, but you wanted something unique to your particular use case. So in this term, I've got two examples here from Power BI, where they're looking at custom visuals. They have a lot of stuff that comes in the box, but then you can make your own that's on top of that you can bring in. Some interesting things like network diagrams or heat maps for different satellite images. You can easily bring those into your Power BI dashboards to add an extra layer of analytics. Another great example of this is Google Data Studio. Here, they allow you to do community visualizations, a really big community focus over there, where you can build your own things like Sankey diagrams or these radar charts that you can then pull into your Google Data Studio area. You'll notice it's the exact same one as the last one because it's that powerful. So in this case, we're looking at adding these different functionalities with this web application that you can just slot into Tableau. This example is taking a look at a radar chart, which if any of you actually use Tableau, you'll know it's actually quite tricky to do just because of the way we do our plotting. We don't really do radial plotting. So this is a nice way to bring in additional analytical charts or customizing the way you're using the tool. All right, so now for this one, I'm taking a look at a data set here that is animal sightings, and I'm sure it's extremely tiny for you, but the screen, the dots here are things like monkey and cheetah and lions and ostriches. And this is a map of Seattle, where I'm living right now, and Tableau's headquartered there. And if you've ever been to Seattle, we definitely don't have cheetahs running around the place. I haven't seen any lions. I don't know about you guys, but this apparently is a post-apocalyptic data set somewhere in the future when animals have taken over. But the idea here is that I want to filter to different animal sightings. Now, I could easily just add a drop-down filter. We're all familiar with that, right? I could say, choose your animal, drop down, here you go. In this example, there's only 4 or 5 different animals, super simple. What happens when you have maybe 50 or 100, etc.? You need to find new ways of actually finding what you're looking for. One way to do that is visually. So, bring in another one here. Whoop. There we go. And this one is going to allow me to have a really interesting visual interpretation of this data. Now, it's going to be, I know it's a little like tongue-in-cheek, it's a little jokey, but hopefully you can kind of see how this would actually work. Now, in this case, I'm going to choose which dimensions and worksheets, and again, those are being pulled in from the dashboard itself, and I'm going to choose an image here that I can use. Here we go. Ah, come on, how cute is that, right? I mean, if I saw these animals running around Seattle, I think that'd be all right. Maybe not so scary. I think the lion is pretty adorable. But here what I can do is actually circle some of these faces. And I can say, all right, this one here is a cheetah. Come on, there we go. A little slow today. There we go. I can choose the animal from this list. This one's cheetah. Great. Let me do another one here. Let's do this as a lion. My goodness. And just because of slowness sake today, I'm just going to go ahead and we'll do this monkey here. Sure, why not? Great. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the filtering, and now what I have is an interactive way of dealing with my data. So I can click on this face of the cheetah, and my map updates to only cheetahs. I can do lions, monkey sightings, go back, click on the background to go back to the main filter. Now, I get it. It's super cheesy, and it's interesting and fun, but think about what you could use this for. This could be perhaps a schematic for a vehicle or an airplane. This could be a festival map. This could be the Crunch Conference, showing you where different events are happening. This could be hospital beds, and you can click on things and see what's available. This could be a human body, showing you injuries at a factory, right? This is a fun example, and I like to share this one because I like this just in general. The animals are cute. But the idea here can go so much further. And yes, we can always have a drop-down list or a pick list of animals or whatever data you're looking at. But not only does this make it more fun, but it also can actually help you do your analysis better. And people who you're sharing this with can interact with your data a little bit easier as well. All right, so the last thing I want to talk to you guys about was for the Tableau Developer Program. I don't know how many of you here are Tableau users, but if you are, I felt it was a disservice not to share with you that this does exist. If you are interested in building things, ways to connect and customize and integrate Tableau, we have a full Tableau Developer Program, and actually going along the theme of these principles apply to all tools. I think you guys saw earlier on the video screen, I think it was the Microsoft developer community that they're advertising there. It's everywhere. It doesn't have to be just for Tableau. It's whatever you're using. Reach out, find those communities, figure out ways you can actually extend and get the most out of the tools that you're using. For us, we've got a really cool program where we go across the country and we do hackathons. We also do a lot of fun sprint demos where we show the new and exciting things that our devs are working on right now every sprint, once a month. It's really fun and exciting, so I'd say whatever you're using, find that community. Find the folks that are doing really interesting and cool things that are outside of the box of your analytical tools. And with that, thank you very much. I hope you guys learned a lot of stuff today.
Thank you so much, Keshia. Okay, guys, so it's #Crunch Conference on Slido. If you have any questions you want to ask Keshia now, please submit them. Again, this is the Crunch Tent, not Crunch Hall. For myself, get things started here. So do you have a favorite tool that you like to use, or a particular feature that's your number one, your go-to, whether or not it's the best for the job?
Sure, absolutely. I think, honestly, extensions right now are really the coolest thing we've got going on, just because it opens up such a wide variety of things that you can do. it's really just an application. You can build practically anything you want that you can use and build with JavaScript, and then throw it into a dashboard. Things like writing back to data sources, things like making cool interactions. We've got an awesome extension right now from a partner of ours, and they have, I think, like a dozen different analytical charts that are kind of tricky to do in Tableau, I'll admit it. And you can do them super simply with just a few clicks with their extension. So I'd say that's my favorite right now. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you have any particular advice for paring down your data, or like common missteps that people often aren't aware of when they start using their tools?
Yes, for sure. I would say that not recognizing all the things that are available to you, the APIs that are available to you, tools that are available. Honestly, even our Tableau folks sometimes, our sales forces, our pre-sales folks, they don't recognize that there's so many things that you can do to kind of customize. So they'll be on a call and the customer will ask for, okay, can you do ABC? And maybe we can't do it out of the box, but we can do it with our APIs. And so not knowing what's available to you, I think, is sometimes a misstep.
Okay. Now we've got some audience questions.
Yeah.
Are Tableau extensions available on Tableau public accounts?
Great question. Today they are not, but coming soon they are. This is one of our top requests for extensions. And the reason is because, like I said, they are so cool and so powerful, but that also means that you can be malicious with them if you were trying to take down Tableau Public. So what we've got instead is sandbox extensions, which are fully sandboxed off. They can't do anything. We host them, and Tableau Public coming soon. They're working on it right now. Will allow those on Tableau Public. It's
Very exciting. Very exciting. Okay. Is Tableau now a full data science platform?
I would say so. I think it depends on what you're doing, but honestly, we have so many ways to integrate other tools into our product that really you think you can do a lot of stuff with it. I know if you've used Tableau, maybe you're familiar with the idea of the drag and drop. It's super simple. It's meant to be easy to get started with, but we also integrate with things like Python and R and MATLAB and those types of things you can use. You can bring them right into Tableau, either for visualization, but also for data prep as well. So I would say so. We've got a lot going on.
Really comprehensive. Really comprehensive. Okay. Finally, what has been the best thing you've seen people do in a hackathon?
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's tough. There's so many good ones this year. One I can think of off the top of my head was we had someone do a voice-based filtering and subscriptions. So we had someone come in and you could say, filter the dashboard by Florida in 2014, and it would actually do the actual filtering for you, which not only is it just cool to see, I mean, that's exciting, but also it was a really interesting use case to look at for accessibility, because not everyone can access dashboards the way that we think they want to. So being able to just talk to your dashboard and say, hey, show me this thing I'm interested in, and have it actually do that for you was really interesting and cool to see.
Okay. Is there any limitation in terms of data, for example, size or type?
No, not at all. I mean, the limitation, I think, would be your machine. I mean, whatever you're using. We don't implement any data limitations at all. I will say that we are more leaning towards, as far as type goes, we'll work with NoSQL, unstructured data, that's fine. I will say things maybe video data, not as great as. I'll say that. But all the other types of data, for sure, absolutely, yeah.
It's an all data opportunity.
All data all the time.
Okay. As a product manager, do you work with data teams to build dashboards or reports, or are you jumping into Tableau and writing these yourself?
Great question. I'm doing it myself. At Tableau, we really value being able to actually use the product. I know a lot of times on companies that the dev team, they get really focused on the thing they're working on specifically. And at Tableau, it's really highly encouraged to actually know the product in full. So I make my own dashboards. I might ask for help sometimes, but I absolutely make my own dashboards. We look at numbers for our developer program, our community, how they're engaging. We look at numbers for how folks are actually using our products, our REST APIs, how many calls we're getting. I look at all that data myself. And I think I highly encourage any PM at any company to do that as well.
Okay, sound advice. What is the most competitive area in data visualization now and in the near future?
Ooh, interesting. I would say, honestly, artificial intelligence, machine learning is very hot right now. And yes, big buzzwords, and I think that is going to be the next kind of frontier for data analysis. A lot of predictive analysis. We just released a tool that'll help you explain why something's an outlier. It gives you an actual statistical analysis around that. And also recommending things to you. I think that idea of, hey, maybe you want to look at this data point a little closer, or hey, perhaps you can look at the data this way, kind of recommending things to you, but also just, I'd say in general, I forgot what I wanted to talk about. Excuse me. NLP as well, I think, is also going to be really interesting. So
LLP?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we actually just started with Ask Data. You can type it in. You can say, I want to look at my sales in California over time, etc. I think that would be also a really interesting way.
Okay. Well, Keshia, thank you so much for all the information.
Sure.
On behalf of the conference, I'll give you
Thank
a souvenir to take home.
Thank you very much.
If anyone has any further questions for Keshia, she's going to be at the Prezi booth holding office hours for the next 20 minutes, and you can talk to her person to person there.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay. Please don't forget, with Slido, you can submit your questions during the talks as well, and you can also rate the talks as they come up. It's Crunch 10. This is Crunch 10.